Hey, what's going on, guys? Xbox All channel, host Sega Forever here. Finally bringing you a video that I wanted to do about, it's been a week and a half ago. I talked about it on my channel. I actually wanted to do a reaction video for the interview with Doge, but I never got around to doing it. And one of the reasons, guys, is because these videos are pretty long. And once I watch a video, I've talked about this before, but I just wanted to explain it because I know some of you guys were wondering when I was going to talk about this stuff. Um, And it's not that I didn't want to talk about it or that my opinions have changed. And I mean, my opinions have been more processed. So I've actually done the deep dive on a lot of this stuff. And that's what takes up so much time. And that's another reason why I don't get to do a lot of the videos because it takes a lot of time. And a lot of this, dude, it's not begrudgingly done. I actually find this stuff interesting. And then I end up going down these rabbit holes, as you can tell by the type of content I produce on this channel, because I find a lot of this stuff fascinating. You know, like for me personally, a lot of this stuff it doesn't even go to the point where I agree or disagree with something. Hold on, guys. I think I hear something. Um, I heard something hammering. Again, sorry about the noise in the background. Got all these birds running around over here. My war with the birds continues. I finally got my other item I was waiting on, and I'm gonna try and install it today. I did hurt my back though, so I gotta be careful. But hopefully it works. But yeah, so I go down these rabbit holes. I do these deep dives because I find it fascinating to look at it. And my politics and stuff aside, I already look. I'm set in my ways, guys. This is why I talk about these things I do on my channel. When it even comes to something as um, not as earth shattering as video gaming. Even though if you're in the hobby and you're into it, it probably means more to you than most. But when it comes to gaming and stuff like that, this is why I don't care if people come into the channel with difference of opinions, or like we had PlayStation guys coming into the channel to get their opinions and a troll, which is fine with me. My point being is that I'm not going to change and put it set in my ways. It takes a lot. It takes an act of God, and literally, to change my opinions on stuff. Because a lot of the stuff, like I talk about on my channel, is more principle for me, or it has to have a little bit of common sense and logic. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. If you guys didn't notice, they had these hands-on or hands-on, hands-off protests around the country yesterday, which was actually pretty impressive. I have to say. I mean, if you follow the political back and forth, everything that's been going on in the country, man. I mean, President Trump has been running roughshod all over the opposition and basically all over the globe. I mean, a lot of the stuff that he's doing, a lot of it is just because he actually does what he says he's going to do. And on top of that, you add the fact that he actually works lightning fast on a lot of this stuff. And it's not by chance, guys. He's been planning this stuff ever since he was out of office 8 years ago. Because you remember he won in 2016. That was his first foray into politics. One of the things I knew that he would have problems with, um, even him coming in with the best of intentions, trying to figure out how to fix the country. Um, he ran into a lot of opposition. A lot of the opposition came from the people he's taking on right now, which is the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C., the federal government itself. This is where you get stuff like the deep state. There's a lot of bad actors in our political system, and then when you tell people that, they look at you like you're some kind of conspiracy theorist. And I'll just simplify it for you guys. What I'm talking about, what I'm basically talking about, is people that have vested interests in a lot of the processes that go on in DC, at that level, at that federal level. And that's why they're called bureaucrats, right? Because a lot of these people are not elected into these positions. And even some of them that are elected to it, they're also part of the problem. So what you saw in 2016 was kind of a pushback from the average American to change the system. What a lot of people didn't realize, and why people got frustrated and it was hard for them to comprehend, because they don't keep up with politics on the level that they should. And that's not a slight. I'm just being honest. That's just the nature of the beast. We don't teach this kind of stuff. We don't teach processes and civics in school anymore, which we need to get back to doing. But because our educational system is also part of the problem, this is why you see Trump going after the Department of Education, and a lot of these big federal organizations, dude, that he's cutting them down to zero. And yes, he's also going after the income tax because he's going after the taxes too because that's how they fund. That's how they fund it. He's had so 2016 to 2020, yeah. So he had about 8 years to figure all this stuff out. I mean, he had a kind of a grasp on it, and it also didn't help that some of the people that was he thought he could trust also found out really quick he couldn't. This is why his cabinet and the makeup of the people he surrounds himself with um, have been chosen by him. This is how you get RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. He's more focused now of not playing the political game and then putting people around him that are actually believe in his agenda. Number one, will execute his agenda. And I'm not saying that mistakes won't be made. Okay, what I'm saying is that people that are not trying to stab him in the back, like what happened in 2016, which is interesting to me as a registered Republican. The Republicans were one of the worst because at least the Democrats come at you from the front and they let their intentions know. This is why a lot of times, Democrats always be taking the L because they put all their, it's all emotional, it's all feelings, and it's a lot of bravado too. They put their stuff out there, and I actually appreciate that about them. Same thing I appreciate about a PlayStation guy. When he goes out there and he puts his feelings out there, and at least you know where they're coming from. But the bad part is when the people you think that have your back is they become the problem. Um, Mr. Kima says, though people are not qualified to be in office, as you can see, all the mistakes are already being made. I don't see any mistakes, Mr. Kima. You got to be specific. Um, they're qualified in the fields of expertise that they're a part of. Now, if you're saying the mistakes are being made because they don't follow the federal mandate, I mean, not federal mandate, how can I put this? That they're not a part of the system, right? They're not in the matrix. So, of course, they're going to be hiccups and glitches because they're not a part of the matrix. But that's why they were picked, right? In fact, I'm going to show a clip, and it's a brief clip, guys. Well, it's about 7 minutes because I'm not going to show the entire interview, but I recommend you do it. I mean, Doge actually had an interview talking to Brett Baer, Fox News, and they basically broke down what they're trying to accomplish, right? So if you're going to have any type of opinion on this kind of stuff, you have to. Like, I know some of you guys will probably hate Fox News, you hate Brett Baer, you hate Elon now, but you guys have to, like, take a lot more information in, right? Like, for me, for example, let me share this real quick. Hold on. This. All right. Let me blow this up a little bit. Mr. Kim, I'm just going to drop this for a second. Right. This is all the Democrats and the left and the leftists. And when I say leftists, I mean like the socialist, fascist, communist branch of the Democratic Party. I want to say Democratic Party. They're just leftists. Okay. There are distinct differences because you now have liberals who have left the Democratic Party or fancy themselves still Democrats in the traditional sense that are in the MAGA movement. I talk to them quite a bit. Don't agree with them on most things. It's like nothing's changed as far as what they believe and what I believe. The difference being is that they're on this side of the aisle because they can actually have conversations. You see that with some of the biggest names on YouTube actually going to conservative or Republican meetings or get-togethers or whatever and voicing their opinion, which is still their opinion, right? But they can't do this on their side because these people are absolutely insane. In fact, and look, I'm not like this lady's like, you see on the right when you have a Trump rally, people dressed as Uncle Sam. So that's not what I'm trying to say. But at least look at the signs, look at the way they act. I mean, they've been waiting for this for a long time. They're just the opposition party at this point in time, dude. There's no reason, there's no rhyme. This is why the NPC thing fits them so well, because it's almost like they just wait. They just wait for what the next talking point is, and they all jump on it, right? Unfortunately for them, I know this is the media. This is typical media, right? This is why I tell you guys all the time, whether right, left, pro, con, you have to always keep that in the back of your mind, the way the media operates on both sides. If you want to get a little bit more clearer picture, because at the end of the day, again, I always say this on my channel: all politics are local. So you ultimately going to make the decision for what's right for you, where you live, Like for me, even though I'm looking at these protests, not understanding why these people are what their messaging is, because it to me there is no messaging, right? Like I just said, they're just the opposition party. So whatever Trump does, right, they're just going to do the opposite, right? Like this is why a lot of people are confused, and then other people, I mean, they're trying to build this up like this is a big movement too. I would say this is the biggest they've had. This is probably the first thing that they've been able to they've been able to pull off since the last 2 years of the election and the first couple months. Dude, and it's only been what is it? January, February, March, April. It's been 4 months, guys. He's only been in office for 4 months, and look at the energy you get from these people. Look at this, right? And then if you listen to what they talk about, most of it doesn't make sense, right? Like for example, Elon Musk is not elected. Yeah, we know that. We didn't elect him. He's appointed, right? Again, this is where I was talking about a little bit earlier with the civics lessons need to be taught again. Right? He works at the BS of the president, who is the elected official, one of the only people that are elected by the majority, by the nation, right? But if you just take the time to listen to these guys and listen to what they're talking about, a lot of it just doesn't make sense. I'm not going to play it on here because I mean my videos are long anyway. Plus, I don't know how the whole thing with the algorithm is and what I can and cannot show. I'm a small channel, so I probably get away with stuff most people don't. Um, but yeah, dude, I mean, to me, I sit there and I listen to these guys. It's like, what's the end game? Like, what is your point? Like, I don't see these guys doing anything that they're being accused of. Now, if case in point, a little bit later down the road, right, something happens and then you're right. Okay, then I think then we got to deal with it, right? But again, I'll show you guys this other clip, right? Talking about what, in their own words, what these guys are trying to do. Just a small portion. I highly recommend you go and watch the whole video to get a better picture. And again, if you do not like these guys, man, sorry for you, dude. If you want the complete picture, that's what you got to do. I do that all the time. That's why I don't end up doing videos again, guys. And then sometimes I'll listen to people, and it'll change my perspective. Like some of the people here, yeah, are they AstroTurf? Most definitely. Are they getting paid? Yes, most definitely. Connecting the dots, is there organizational backing behind all of this stuff? Most definitely. Dude, and you don't have to go far to actually find a lot of this stuff. But what's happening now is because some of these tariffs, not tariffs, that's what they're protesting. But a lot of some of the moves that the president has done is actually really affecting people in real time. Some people, I will say, not the way they make it out to be. But say you work at a federal job and then you lost your job because of cutbacks, right? There are people coming out that way, right? You saw the stuff with the veterans. Again, I'm not 100% into that as well because in a lot of these dudes, you just do a little background search or you go to their social media accounts and then you find out these dudes are hardcore Democrats. Um, you know, and a lot of like the stuff that's happening at the town halls, they're being overrun by people who are the opposition party. All right. And then I know people draw correlations to the Tea Party. That's fine. That's fine. I find the Tea Party was a little bit more organic though, right? Because people, the reason why the Tea Party was is because people hate taxes. That's all I'm gonna say. So that's how I kind of look at these things, dude. I'm sharing this with you because I recommend you do the same thing. But shout out to the leftists, man. You guys actually put something together. I don't think it's as big as a lot of people make it out to be, and it hasn't put in really a dent in where Trump is standing right now in the polls. And again, I feel bad using that because I'm not a big polls guy either. I'm more about a cause and effect, and again, like I talk about all the time in this channel, that's how I read stuff. It is what it is. But if you are a person that's the poll numbers, his polls actually went up. Because what people don't understand when you do these type of rallies, dude, and the way you act, right, and the things that you say, it has to carry weight with people, right? Like if you're trying to, like for me, for example, like say I think Doge is doing a good job, with what they're doing or their mission statement or their goals and stuff like that, right? But if I'm talking to somebody that lost their job, right, because of Doge, right, there's nothing really I can tell that person that I'm gonna make them feel any good. Especially some of the people that are getting cut. The only thing I can tell you, man, is I see where the majority of this stuff happening is in the bureaucracy, and I can tell you 100% he's at war with that. It's another thing I will say. about the tariffs as well. He's at war with liberalism. I should say liberalism because there's a classic liberalism too. He's at war with the left, and this is why he talks about the woke stuff. Not just in this country, dude. He's taking it global, right? And there's all kind of other stuff. That's not the main focus, guys. You know, he does care about the border, right? He does care about this kind of stuff. I'm not saying he's not, but it's multifaceted. That's why it's so hard for people who oppose him, people like this, to really understand what's going on. And this is why they come up with like quick catchphrases. All of this stuff is emotional, man. These people will get in your face. They'll yell at you. We even where I live, we had a protest down at the state capitol, which I thought was funny. And not funny that look, dude. If you want to protest, man. And of course, this being the state I live in, dude, it's not violent, dude. A lot of these dudes, you can tell who they are, man. These guys are all hippies. Most of them are not from here. That's the thing that's why I was laughing because I look at the makeup of the crowd there, dude. I mean, sure, are there local people there? I've seen a couple, man, but the majority of the people, you can tell they moved here from the mainland and probably most recently, right? They couldn't stand the areas that they lived in, right? Because you know they have the money to live there, but a lot of those areas they're coming from, you know, it's not safe. Like Hawaii is a pretty safe area. It's getting kind of bad now by our standards, right? But again, this is. So I'll give you guys credit. I'll give you guys credit. You guys did at least that much. Uh, Sorry, guys. I'll get back to that. No, those people are not qualified to be under an office under Trump. They were handpicked because he liked their names. Now, come on, Mr. Kima, bro. I know you're better than that, brother. I'm gonna show a clip in it because I'll tell you what, Mr. Kima. I thought, and I was wrong. I thought Elon Musk because I had heard the people that were working for him. I thought it was Elon Musk and the people that worked for him that he knew that were engineers. And in this short clip I'm going to show you, I was wrong. It's Elon Musk and a bunch of these other people that are qualified that they're advising um, the staffs, the head, the people that Trump appoints that have to get vetted, right, to get the appointment to whatever department they're the head of. Like Linda McMahon is the head of Department of Education, but she had to get approved for that, right? And she did. So they have these people that are working with the department heads specifically. And a lot of these guys, I thought that they were people that worked, you know, they came out with that story, which a bunch of young kids were working, looking at all the systems and administrative stuff, finding all this kind of stuff. And that is happening. But I thought that was across the board, and it's not. And I'll show you a clip to show that. But, um, you know, but in fairness to you, what you're saying, yeah, because you can't have people within the system trying to correct the system because they're all tainted. And I'm not saying tainted as in dishonest, dude. They're just part of the system, dude. And it's just like anything else, man. It's like how we deal with a PlayStation guy, right? Or how we have to check ourselves as Xbox guys because we're in the ecosystem, right? And we're talking about video gaming on a general scale. Dude, we have to realize our biases when we talk about this kind of stuff. You know, that's the problem we have with PlayStation guys because they never do that, right? If we're being honest. Sorry about the background noise again, guys. Elon Musk's grandparents worked Canadian Nazis that split to South Africa. All right, dude. No, I don't know. Possibly, right? But the grandparents aren't the one affecting change. Right? That's what I'm talking about, Mr. Kima, dude. I mean, you can have that opinion, dude, and people can talk about this. That's what I'm saying. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty of what we're trying to talk about, especially right now, this means nothing to me. That the Canadian Nazis that split to South Africa, and plus, there's so much information out there about what he is, what he isn't. You know, a lot of people don't realize that Elon is on the spectrum, right? And then he does some herky jerky moves, which he always does, and then everybody all of a sudden he's a Nazi doing a Nazi salute, stuff like that. That doesn't, right? That doesn't, you know, come on. I mean, you can have this opinion, brother, but I'm just telling you, man. I mean, what is that going to bring to the table? And I'm constantly having to do this, not with you, but myself, right? Because there's so much stuff being said about a lot of different people, right? But then when I look at it closely, right, and I match everything up, right, either it doesn't matter, or I'm like, well, I don't know where these people are getting these sources from, or even worse, it's coming from an emotional standpoint. Like a lot of these protests that happened over this weekend, man, it's all emotionally driven, dude. I saw one clip from here, man, and I thought it was sad, man, because it had this I was gonna show the clip, but I had this little girl. I don't want to. After I saw the girl, I didn't want to do that. But they asked the girl a question. Number one, to the news channel, don't ask the girl. Right. Number two, she shouldn't even be there. This is something your parents should be dealing with. I talk to my kids about life issues and stuff like that more and more in general. But I'll download my personal stuff onto my children, right? Because I know at the end of the day, and a lot of times when you do that to your kids, this is why they have strife in a sense, right? Because you tell your kids something, and they're at a certain age, especially if you, I mean, you might encourage them to seek it out, or they might go against you just because, right? Let your kids be kids is my point. And I felt so bad for that girl because they asked her a question that most adults can't answer, and then she was just saying, "I just hate him because he fires people." Definitely something that they hear from their parents because their parents are too politically charged, and that's irritating to me because I told you guys a story where the local school here was holding an election, in 2016 when you had Trump and Hillary, and they let the kids vote, and I'm like, dude, what are you guys doing? And there's all kind of problems that came out to that because the kids aren't voting for them; they're voting their parents, right? And then the kids started getting into argument, and their friends started not liking each other, right? Then parents had to get involved, and then I felt bad for my daughter. Was smart enough not to answer that because I don't download my stuff on it, right? And then one of the friends said who she was going to vote for, and it just seems to me that she was just like, okay, well, I like this because I like this, and this, and then this person got attacked, right? Like a lot of the kids in the school were going against her, that they have to call their parents. You see what I'm saying? Don't do that stuff, dude. Come on, guys. That's why we're adults. We're handling this stuff. Eventually, we'll pass the torch on to our children. And this is what it boils down to me, man, with all of this stuff. All the decisions we're making right now, the situation we're in, $37 trillion in debt on both sides has been the problem for years, right? And that's why it's such a shock to the system right now, what's happening, and because we're actually trying to do something about it. Those are the same talking points that Republicans used against Democrats in 1940s and 50s, calling them communists. Well, I don't know about Democrats specifically, but I know there's a lot of communists in this country. And when I mean communists, dude, I mean faux communists, right? People that study this stuff from a textbook, or they like the talking points of what communism is, but not the application of it, right? Because if people really believe that, there's countries that are communist right now, Mr. Kima, that they can move to and enjoy that system, but they never will. In fact, there's a lot of people from that system trying to get into this country. There's a lot of people now that are so pro-American because they grew up in that type of environment. People from Southeast Asia, right? People from Korea, right? People that actually experienced that. People from Vietnam, people from the Eastern blocs in Europe, when they had the heavy boot of oppression of communism upon them. My best friend. This is why I'm so anti-communist, man. My best friend that they escaped from Cuba, man, or else they would have been killed. And it wasn't a political affiliation; it's because they had stuff. And you can tell it was in the middle of who they were because they actually rebuilt their entire lives in the state of Florida. They went from running for their lives, losing everything because of the what's his name was doing. Crap, I can't think of that name. Chavez, right? Chavez, is it Chavez? The dude that everybody wears his shirts. I know that much, dude. And they had to start anew in Florida as refugees, came in, became citizens, worked day, and they got their life back. You know, that's the stuff that people don't talk about. This is why, look, I see people right now that are talking about, oh, we need to get closer to Russia, or they're standing up for China. It's like, no, dude, these are communist countries, dude. They're antithetical to what we believe as a republic, because they believe in the state and state control. That's their whole focus, right? So communism is supposed to be ruled by the many, right? But eventually somebody takes the leadership, and it's that leadership that morphs into what a lot of these countries have now. They're just not. I mean, if you're gonna sit here and try and promote communism, to me, no, it's not gonna work. Trump and terrorists are in fact a threat to the economy. I don't think so, Mr. Cohen or David. David, hey, welcome, by the way. There's gonna be pain, definitely, right? But for somebody like me, like when I hear the arguments for and against the tariffs, mostly against the tariffs, I'm already there. You know what I mean? Like case in point, right? One of the most interesting things as gamers we see on Nintendo, right, and how the tariffs might affect the cost of that system. right? I'm already at a point where I just won't buy it. But I'm doing that already because the economy is so bad. Right? That's why the tariffs don't bother me as much as taxes, or the tariffs don't bother me as much as inflation, because I can't really. Well, inflation you can do something about. That's what we're trying to change as well, but you can't do really anything about taxes, man. You have to pay, and taxes can be regulated, right? But like in the state I live in, dude, that's not gonna happen. You've seen the mass migration of people from blue states to red states. That's why they left, because they can afford the cost of living. It's happening in my state right now. Right? We're building a little, here where I live, we call Vegas the ninth island, and a lot of people that live here are moving there because they can't afford it here. They'll never be able to buy a home. You'd be lucky if you get a home here under $1 million, and if you buy that home, it'll be a small home that should probably run down, like 60 years old, on a small piece of land. So you're gonna have to buy the house and rebuild it. And there's people doing that. There's people doing that, right? This island is getting gentrified, right before everybody's eyes, because you have people here that are local people that can't afford to increase their level beyond what they have, and you have people coming in that can, because they have the money to do so. Right. In fact, they're building condominiums all over the place on this island. This place will be one big condominium, um, where everybody's just going to order from Amazon because there'll be no small businesses. And you see it. You see the community trying to come back, and I applaud them. Right. This is why I support a better economy, and hopefully tariffs will level the playing field. I'm at a point though. I'll be honest with you, David, and you guys probably won't like this, but I don't care at this point. Dude, I've had a 401k forever, and that thing's been up and down the entirety of when I first started working, and 20, 25 years ago. I've had this 401k, dude, and it's been up and down all around. Right? What this current president is trying to do is trying to get the country back to good, which goes beyond um, uh, all the back and forth that we have in Washington D.C. Again, this is why they don't like him, and I get it, dude. Man, he's doing stuff that is a shock to the system. Dude, this is definitely, if you watch the first Matrix movie, probably what Neo was going through when they pulled him out of the system. He took that red pill, and they pulled him out of the system. And Morpheus is standing over him. He goes, oh, he has his body was in atrophy, man, because he was living in a fantasy world. Right? And then he comes into the real world. We actually gotta, he couldn't see because it's too bright. Never used his eyes. Never used his muscles. Right? Yeah, that's the analogy I'm making. But it's I would say it's a threat to the economy because of the way the economy is right now. Right? But there needs to be a change. Do we can't? I mean, do you what? I guess my question to you is like, what could we do, or what would you do? And I'm not being. I really would like to know what you think would be better than what he's doing right now. Because I'm pretty sure you saw that the tariffs, the imbalance in what we charge countries and what they charge us, right? And also to factor in the fact that they do things outside of the tariffs to lessen our impact on their economy with the stuff that we create. For me personally, I just would rather us focus on us here in the country, right? And I've been like this, and this didn't take Trump. I've been like this for 20 something plus years, right? Because I remember how it was when all our industries started closing down and people left. It was sad to see, man. And some of it you can blame on the unions, and some of it you can blame on politics, right? Definitely, right? But at the end of the day, dude, it's just, you know, we lost whole industries, man. And if COVID has taught us one thing, dude, that was not a good thing. But I've been trumping in this for a long time. Maybe not on this channel, but because I'm just starting to do politics. But I've been on that boat a long time ago, dude. And for me, it is about what people say. I didn't need Fox News or the president to tell me this stuff. The stuff that they're saying, I've already felt like it is a national security issue, right? It is a system issue, right? You need these pillars of industry, right? Look, dude, not everybody can go to college and make $120,000 as an engineer. That's the biggest. That's the only thing I had against Vivek Ram. Not against, but when Vivek Ramaswamy, I agree with him the majority of the time. But when he came on and said, you know, um, that we need to get better and education we're getting passed by other countries, I'm like, bro, not everybody wants to be an engineer. Not everybody can be an engineer. The thing that makes the country great is there's a lot of diversity in a lot of the stuff that we choose to do. Right. And that's why you need to have those industries here. This is what made the country great. We dominated in all these industries, and one of the reasons we dominated, we didn't take it from anybody. We created it, innovation. Right? Microsoft just celebrated their 50th anniversary, man. That's a beautiful thing to me. Right? They're at the forefront of tech. Right? A lot of the stuff. That's why a lot of people talk to me about China all the time. Like China's doing this, China's doing that. I was like, they're doing it, man. But what are they creating? What are they making, dude? This is what I tell you all the time about in video games. Do with PlayStation. What are they doing? They're not pushing the industry forward. Nintendo, even Nintendo, dude, they're happy to stay where they're at. You know what I'm saying? So, Mr. Kim says, no, those town halls were held in maggot districts. There were maggot Republicans that worked for the federal government. Yeah, there were some. There were some, Mr. Kima, but you also know that people can travel, which is one of the big things that Democrats do was so well. All of this stuff, it's AstroTurf, brother. That's why when you call these guys NPCs, they get all pissed off because it hits home. But I don't disagree with you, man. There were I know a couple of veterans that weren't happy, personally, right? But I'll just be honest with you, man. I where I work with a lot of people that I work with, they went to VA big time. VA increased exponentially. Right? Where I work, we got affected by that because a lot of people switched over. Right? And in fact, it's kind of ironic because it's kind of I'm not saying that I can't 100%, but it's kind of affected us in a kind of a good way. It sucked because we lost a lot of personnel, so of course you had to pick up the slack. But when they're doing these, when they're looking at everything, we kind of come underneath the radar because we're actually hurting for people. There's a lot of it's very complicated, guys. I don't want to go into all of that because that's another rabbit hole. I mean, I'm kind of getting away. I want to address the chat though. I think yes, we're being here, but I'm going to get to this video real soon after these next couple comments. That's a large. Poll numbers are in the dumps. Poll numbers are not like he doesn't have the majority. I'll say that, but his poll numbers are good because he's never had it that high. So you're not wrong, but he's not above. I think he's above 50% for the first time in his life. He's like 53, 54, right? And for the longest time when he was in office, the first time especially, right? He was like in the 20s, 30s. He was low. But then one of the reasons the Democrats lost the election is because Biden's dropped in the 40s. And I saw a couple times where it was like 38, 39. So if you're saying that, yeah, dude, he doesn't have the majority. He never will. He's a polarizing figure, Mr. Kimo. There's people that just hate him just to hate him. And this is why I'm doing these videos, because you have to be careful, right? Don't let people's TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, dictate to you what is truth and what is not truth. You have to research it for yourself, right? There's so many times I'll click on a video, right? It's very few times that these people, like they might start off coherent in the beginning or make sense a little bit, right? But it just starts going downhill when you ask them certain things. Right? You can tell they just hate the man. So do you not like him because of the job he's doing, or you just hate him? Because if you can tell me why you don't like the job he's doing, and granted, like the whole VA thing, right? I know people that have got affected by that, and I feel for them, right? But on the other end, dude, when a lot of these people, when I listen to them, they just hate him. They say something like "Orange Man bad." Dude, come on, dude. It's like so old already. And tell me why you hate him. What is it affecting you? Like when I see these people here that they ask questions on the street, it's like they're complaining about him. I'm like, how do you afford a trip to this island? It's absolutely ridiculously expensive. Obviously, you're not hurting. You know what I'm saying? Like when I used to see protests before, the first time he was in office, these guys these had all these college students, because that's what a lot of these people are, college students, right? They're down right down the road from where I live, protesting, right? Over there protesting Wall Street and the man and the 1% with their $3,000 laptops, $900 tents that they set up. They had it all organized, bro. And all of that stuff costs money, man. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I see. Right? Left, right, up, down don't matter to me, man. I look at people's actions and I try and connect the dots. But I'm not. If that's what I see, right? It's almost like a backhanded comment, right? Not backhanded comment. It's like he's getting credit, but it's kind of backhanded because he's very polarizing, dude, and that's not going to change with him. You guys got to remember, he has 4 years to make changes, and that's it. He's done, right? And if you didn't know by the 3 years or by the first 4 months, the first 4 months that we've gone through, man, this dude is not. I don't see him changing anytime soon. For a lot of you guys, remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger won the governorship of California and he came in all hard, right, with his talking points and stuff like that. And then what ended up happening, dude? By the end of like halfway through, dude, they just wore him down, and then he started sounding like a liberal, even though he ran as a conservative. What's up, Toe Man, brother? Thanks for being here, bro. David Cohen says, "Funny you brought up the Matrix. I haven't watched in a while. Also, what I can do is be wiser with my spending, regardless of its tasty treats, Lego sets, or video games." Yeah, Mister. Yeah, David, man. That's. I mean, man, you have such a. Your name is so. I feel like calling you Mister Cohen. Um, Let me see. Yeah, and that's what I mean too, David. I mean, I'm doing that already, right? Because the inflation's been so bad and the cost of everything uh, has gone up. Now, keep in mind where I live, dude. I live in a state that's I think we're the most expensive or the second most expensive. I think California just etches us out, but I think we beat California in a lot of categories. Um, so already live there, so I have no choice. I'm already doing that. In fact, if all of this stuff works out, I still might be, it might get a little better for me, but it'll never change. That's why a lot of people left that can't afford it. There are certain, dude, if you're not making $120,000 a year here, dude, you're gonna be pinching pennies, and it just keeps on getting worse every year, right? They come up with these stupid programs, they come up with these bridges to nowhere, infrastructure, and all this kind of stuff, dude, and it's all based on the taxpayer. Our governor here in the state had a bright idea because federal employees lost jobs, and he's like, "Oh, we'll help them out by giving them state jobs." I'm like, "Do you have state jobs? Like, how are we creating these state jobs, or are you filling these positions, and why are they vacant now?" And to me, it all boils down to the amount of the size of our budget, right? Like stuff like that. Uh, but yeah, I mean, so again. My point again, sorry, David, is I'm already there. I'm making those conscious choices right now. Right? South of Midnight, I was thinking about buying it, but my daughter might want to buy it because she likes the actual developers and has their other games and all that stuff. So she bought the collector's edition off of Amazon for We Happy Few. So I know she's a fan of the developer, but she wasn't sure because she's playing Avowed now. And and by the way, guys, good news! I actually beat the main storyline. And then I actually started the second playthrough because I want to use nothing but guns. I want to be a warden, right? And my attitude is going to be a little different, partially because I don't want to go through the story like I did last time, and I don't want the length of the story to derail me from finishing the game. So I'm just going to try and play as fast as I can through it. But yeah, great game, 8 out of 10 again. But again, so I'm not sure if she's going to get it. It's coming to Game Pass. I did buy the double, like I bought her and I bought myself the $10 upgrade so that we could kind of get into the books and the music, because that was a selling point for her with We Happy Few, besides the gameplay of the video game, and for me as well. We still listen to the soundtrack for We Happy Few. It's awesome, especially if you like those old classic type of rock pop from the 50s and 60s. It's definitely infused in there because of the time period that they're promoting in We Happy Few. But yeah, dude, I'm already there, Miss David. Bro, it's you got a budget. I know I have to, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Mr. Kima says his. Is that on your? Did I misspeak? Sorry. Mr. Kima says Trump's DEI agenda is mainly to scrub all achievements of Black Americans and women of the military. No, I don't agree with that. As a person who has to deal with DEI on that level, on a federal level, for one, I'm glad he did that, because that should not be the focus of federal military, any of that kind of installation, dude. To me, you got to keep that stuff vanilla as possible. Right. I honestly, Mr. Kim, I'll be honest with you, man, I will disagree on this, but I honestly believe in a pluribus unum. Right. Unlike any other country in the world, dude, and other country, I'm not saying other countries don't have this, but we're the biggest one, dude. We are the melting pot, and I want, and that's what I grew up in, and that's what I think we should go back to, because you can't deny people's race and culture, dude. It's right in front of you, which is the whole thing for me right now with DEI. It actually does that. I've seen it happen, right? And when you're working in organizations that are federal or military, dude, you don't want that, because if you do that kind of stuff, dude, it interferes with ultimately what the mission is. And I've always felt that way, dude. We had a scuffle like here locally, where we had reservists from our state going over to Iraq to support the mission, and then people were doing this hand gesture we have here. Like if you know somebody from Hawaii, it's not a problem. We do it here, and they were doing it over there, and then these people got reprimanded, and then the people here felt some kind of way. And I'm like, bro, no, it's you got to be uniform. Dude, that's what that. There's already a lot of stuff, man. If you're in the military, I'm prior military, dude. There's already a lot of stuff that you got to work with within the military. That's military focus in and of itself, dude. You shouldn't be adding all this other stuff. The social agenda, no, no, negative. Take it out, right? And I'm glad that they're doing that. If you guys notice, man, our numbers have gone up because you really want people in the military that want to be in the military. And I'm against you guys doing, somebody going in there for the college program and stuff like that. You do what you got to do, but you have to adhere to the morals and the principles of what military service is. That's why some people stay in for a little bit. Sometimes that's why some people make it a career. Sometimes some people stay in to make it a career. Then somewhere along the line they change and they get out. It's across the board, man. It doesn't need to be. Nothing needs to be added to it. And we have all kind of stuff, Mr. Keeman. Right? Like we're gonna have Juneteenth in June. That's still a federal holiday, right? So and every month we have something, right? Like for me personally, living where I live, and how the military is trying to ingratiate itself to the local culture. To me, it doesn't matter, right? And then the stuff that they should do, like there's a big story about chemicals leaking into the water. The water that we get here, if you guys don't know, let me explain how it happens. We have a natural aquifer here, right? So when you see, like, if you ever watch one of these shows with the preppers of how they clean out their water, right? They have these layers. They funnel the water through some kind of system. Uh, quite not complicated, but quite fascinating. It's pretty sophisticated. But they have like rock, sand, pieces. Like they have this system they funnel their water through because that stuff takes out all the impurities, and then that's you get the purest form of that water. That's possible. We have that natural aquifer here on the island. That's how we're able to have people living on this island because that's where our water comes from, which is actually pretty cool. So we already have a natural filter, right? Now once the water gets into the pipes, there's people talking about that kind of stuff, and so when you look at it in that perspective, dude, it's already built in to the nature, right? And so, but with the military, ingratiating itself to that, and then this finds out that they have these fuel lines buried into this hill, man. It looks like this thing's been leaking for years, and they've been not denying it, right? And it just seems like right now they don't want to deal with it because all the stuff they got going on. I understand that kind of stuff, but you see what I'm saying, dude? I don't need you to. My point being is, I don't need you to ingratiate yourself to me. I just need you to do what's right, right? Because obviously this is a big problem, dude, and for the people in the military and the families, right? Because it looks like they've been poisoning people for over 30 years. That people's been drinking, a toxic mix of water and chemicals, right? Don't worry about giving me a Aloha Friday at my workplace, dude. Handle your business, dude. Take care of what you need to be taking care of. Somebody missed, dropped the ball on that. That's what you should be focusing on as a military installation, as one of the branches of military. That's what you need to be doing. All this other stuff is just fluff, dude. But the stuff that really matters, dude, if China starts feeling themselves a little bit and goes and crosses the straits into Taiwan that they're training for right now, dude, you need to be ready because I live in the Pacific. And China has ICBMs. What do you think they're going to come after? Right? What did Japan do in World War II? Right? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, right? That's the kind of thing I need them to focus on. That's the things that they should be focused on. Because a lot of times when these big organizations, they try and do these, whatever it may be, right? This is why I don't have a problem with them dismantling the bureaucracy. Government shouldn't be doing all this kind of stuff. They shouldn't be getting all up in your business. Because that's all they need, dude. They just need that little toe in the door, man. And then, boom, they bust in and then they just start regulating everything. And I live in a state where that happens, so I know what I'm talking about. For the greater good. They always use those terms. No, I'm not doing it. But I mean, I don't have a problem with it, Mr. Kima, because I think it went too far to one side, and it's actually affecting policy, which I saw, and I'm not down with that because I got affected by that. This is why I tell you guys a story where people come up to me and say, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. What happened to your people?" I'm like, "All right, sorry, dude." And they keep on pushing the issue. And then when they start doing that, I know, dude, they're not sorry. It's not about what happened, dude. They're guilty. They just feel guilty, man, and they want to be, they want to feel. And I'm like, dude, I don't care, bro. Things happen, man. Like what happened here, it happened all over the world. It's happening now, right? But people get ultra focused on this stuff, right? This dude's coming up to me, man. We stole your land. My people stole your land. I'm like, all right, dude. All right, man. That's cool, bro. It's fine. Can't do anything about it now. And then when they persist, man, because it's not about them concerned about what happened. It's more about their guilt and about them ultimately, right? And so what I tell somebody like that, I say, okay, well, you have a house here? He goes, yeah. I said, well, give it to a Hawaiian. Then. That's all I do. I said, give it to a Hawaiian. You own the house, yeah. Oh, you live over there? Oh, that's one nice place. Oh, you 2 stories, swimming pool. Wow, how you afford that? Oh, good for you then. You know what though, but if it bothers you, give it to a Hawaiian. If you want Hawaiian family, just give it to them. And they're like, oh. See, it's all, dude. All this stuff does it, and then what happens is there's people that are offended, and stuff. It just look, dude. Man, it just start strife. And when you're in organizations like this, you can't do that. Dude. Sorry, guys, I'm getting off track. It's actually dangerous when a mind reaches a certain. Hey, David says it's actually dangerous when a mind reaches a certain age to learn about the Matrix. Morpheus realized in the first film, it is dangerous. Yeah, yeah. In fact, I think one of the great things about the movie, David, is when the guy wanted to go back in, and he even said it. He goes, "I know it's not real. I know it's a lie," but he didn't care because he hated the reality, dealing with the reality, which is happening with a lot of people. I get it. People feel that way. They didn't want to deal with it, right? But then this is the things that are happening right now. Eventually, you're going to have to, is what I'm saying, and that's when things hits the fan. I just got South of Midnight 5 minutes ago. Like it's another hour to download and install. Just waiting on that get done to play later tonight. Oh, right on, Pepe. Yeah, I was tempted to get it, man, but I held true, and I went and finished Avowed. And you know what, dude? I didn't realize I was that close to the end. I got my team together. We walked into the place, and I scrapped with the final boss. I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys. I mean, I got to the end, and then I was like, all right, cool. Like, I was like, I thought I had to go do a couple more steps, but especially since I was following the story a little bit more. So my second run through, I'm not even gonna deal with that, and then I'm kind of playing my person as a kind of prickish person to help me just get through it. So and I already know there's gonna be some that you can't skip, right? Pepe Le Pew said a lot of black people voted for Trump. Well, he got the most that I think he got the most of any Republican, but the majority of the people still voted Democrat. I think that's a strategy that a lot of people. That's why I don't like listening to the mainstream media. Right? It's all about race and color. Where Trump, what you saw, what he did was he didn't get like every single. Like he wasn't trying to win the entirety of a group because he knew he couldn't. What he did was he took portions of the group. Like even here, dude, we had Trump trains here. Blew my mind, dude. I didn't think we were that tuned into it. But we have people driving around the island, Trump trains with their flags and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but see, part of me was like, bro, how you got time off from work? You know what I'm saying? I was like, dude, it's expensive. Dude. But that's that. But maybe they got it like that. I don't know, man. I try not to look at what people have or have not. Dude, I just focus on myself and what I need to do. Hey, what's up, Unlimited? Juneteenth is when Texas State's free. Yeah. I knew that. But I was surprised that they made it a federal holiday. Because a lot of states, guys, have their own holidays. Here in Hawaii, we have a bunch. So as federal workers, right, you don't get the state holidays, you just get the federal, right? But a lot of times people that work state get the state holiday and the federal holiday. Like, for example, we have Kuhio Day here, so Prince Kuhio. Hawaii is like the only state that had a monarchy. So Prince Kuhio is really important in the formulation of a lot of programs for Native Hawaiians and a lot of federal stuff here on the island. They kind of gloss over it now, man, because he's like a Republican. Because at that time, right, the only party you could really belong to if you're a person of color, right, was the Republican Party. If you go back and look at the history of a lot of the first people of color that were in politics back in the day, it's usually the Republican Party. Unlimited says it's not celebrated here in Texas as a holiday, as most employers, including mine. Oh, really? Oh, I thought it was a. It's not. Is it a state holiday? No, and then I feel bad too, Unlimited, because here, the state celebrates both like Kamehameha Day. We have a Kamehameha Day here, and then we have a Kuhio Day. And I sometimes I get lost in it. You know what I'm saying? Like because I don't get that day off, and it shouldn't be that attitude. I know, man, but it's just I live here. I've lived here for a long time, and so it's just one of those days, right? That I recognize. Like this year, I made it a point to recognize, and do some research and stuff like that. But there's also people that try and co-opt that stuff as well. I appreciate the man for what he's done. And for Kamehameha, dude, Kamehameha, he's the one who united all the islands. Actually, if it wasn't for him, like a lot of all the islands are separate. They're used by run by chieftains and stuff like that. That's how it was. And he's the one that went around and said, "Nah, we're all gonna get together." So he united him as a king. It's actually an interesting story. I should take the day off just because. Yeah, I know. I was thinking I should do that, dude, because just to pay homage to my culture. But you know what I mean. I gotta work, bro. I might need that. I might need that 8 hour day if I throw my back out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the level I'm at, dude. I'm not as bad as Bebop, man. I hope my brother's okay, or I hope our brother's okay. But I mean, I have my issues too. So I gotta save all the leave I can, dude, because that's what happened to me recently. Dude, I hurt my back and I had to take. I was out for like 2 days. David Cohen says, the red and blue pills in the first Matrix film, for example, symbolism, the choices people make in real life, Democrat or Republican parties. Yeah, I think that was apropos because a lot of the people that do the red usually come from the people, either they're not politically charged or they're from well, for when it first kicked off, it's people more of a liberal bent or on the left. And it's and this was in 2016, a little bit before 2016, guys, where um, you know people on the left were utilizing certain pop culture references and stuff like that. And then at that point in time, people on the quote unquote right were taking it over. And the reason why I say quote unquote, because a lot of these people are also independents. A lot of them hate conservatives and the Republican Party. it's not a one size fit all, which I find funny. Hey, what's up, Bonte? But I agree with you 100%, David. It was a good application of it, and then now you get black pill, right? And everybody's using it, dude. And that's how you know the politics have changed because it morphs into something else. Now, whether that something else is good or apropos or applicable, right? I mean, that depends on the context. Sorry, um, but it is what it is at the end of the day. So uh, I found it fascinating. This is what actually charges me um, to go down these rabbit holes. In fact, guys, I just want to let you know, and I think Gogo and maybe Dia might be interested. Um, I'm going to start looking at the stuff about aliens, and I know I talked about this before, but if you guys saw what happened, in fact, I was thinking about doing it today. What's been going on with the pyramids, man, which is amazing to me. And I'm not going to sit here and say this is what it is and that's what's happening. We're just going to talk about it like I'm doing right now. But let me run this video, guys, man, because it is 7 minutes long. I'm kind of losing myself here on it. Oh, do I even have it? Yeah, I have it. Let me. Okay, I got it ready to go. And all this is, guys, is just to show you a really brief glimpse. I highly recommend you guys go watch the actual. I think it's like 39-minute thing, and there's a lot of stuff there. That's why I wanted to do the reaction because I found it really funny. Some of the stuff that was going on in the interview. Because I like looking at body language and people, the back and forth between people, and I found it fascinating myself. So hold on one second as I do this. Come back here, we'll up the screen, take me out, everything's clear. I'll increase it on this side. Can you guys see that? Yeah, we're good. Let me adjust the volume. I guess you'll be able to hear it. But again, the only reason I'm sharing this is just give you a glimpse of what the interview is about. Again, highly recommend you guys go listen to it. And you might not look, I'm not trying to get you guys to agree or disagree. Just give some perspective of what's being said. As you can see, I'll just see this. As you can see, there's Elon Musk in the middle. I was surprised by some of the people I saw, a couple of the people that are in this group because I know who they are. And I was surprised. I was like, oh, what are they doing there? Because I thought it would be Elon Musk and a bunch of young kids. That was the impression that I got, like all the engineers that he uses. And I was thinking, which gives kind of credence to what people are thinking, that he's running the entire show, which he is. He's pointing in charge of that, right? That's what the president did, gave him the keys to the kingdom, basically. But if you listen to the whole interview, a lot of these people are their own people. So that kind of surprised me. I'm not saying that's good, and it was kind of refreshing actually because I think I bought into the narrative that a lot of these guys were people that work for him under like either from Tesla or they work with him at X. Now, some of them might have associations, affiliations with each other. That might be true because a lot of these guys run in the same circles. A lot of these guys have a lot of money, right? Which is another case in point that people told me like these guys are just trying to come in and just steal money from them. They really don't need to because they're already billionaires, most of them, or millionaires, right? But let me run this for you guys, and then we can discuss.
I'm sitting down for an exclusive interview alongside 7 members of the Doge team, giving a peek behind the curtain of President Trump's cost-cutting department.
It was amazing. Yep. You got to watch the whole thing. The team consists of a wide range of experts, including a former rocket scientist. You think he'd be qualified to fix the government, and I believe he is. And one of the co-founders of the runaway success Airbnb, a billionaire who's donating his time.
The Doge team also consists of engineers, and they all have the same goal: to slash wasteful government spending. Watch.
Well, this is a revolution, and I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day, America is going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work, and it's going to be a fantastic future. But are we going to get?
Okay, sorry to interrupt, but that's what he's saying, right? So this is why I recommend you guys listen to the entire interview. And then again, the quirkiness of this dude just blows my mind. But listen to the entire interview now. Trust but verify, right? I'll take him at his word, right? Because to me, it's like, why is he doing this? There's no reason for him to do it, whatever. Some of you guys might not agree. But if you do see things, you have to watch this, right, to know where they're coming from, because then you have a foundation. And then when things go south, or if they go south, right, then you can come back and say, well, you said this, you said that. Guys, if you guys are an Xbox guys and you guys watch my channel, this is the biggest problem I have with Phil Spencer, right? When he said specifically that games was not going to other systems, and he specifically said Indiana Jones. And what happened? That didn't pan out. So, of course, I trust but verify. I took Phil at his word, right? But then later on, he went back on his word. D is the same way. We talked about that, right? That bothered me because I'm like, no, dude, you said this, but obviously that's not the case. Regardless of everything that's going on, like I'm not saying Phil Spencer's there to personally just take my money and piss me off, right? What I'm saying is Phil Spencer said something that wasn't true, and then you have to deal with it from there, right? Did that stop me from playing Indiana Jones? No. Did that prevent me? Did I have a reason why I didn't go outright and buy the game? Possibly, right? Again, these are the decisions we're going to make after the fact. That's the only thing I want to point out to you guys, right? This is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to listen to this dude, right? I see what he's doing, okay, and then are you going to follow through? Will your actions match your words, right? But I got to wait to see if he does it, pro or con, dude. I can't go on I can't wait, like he comes out of his interview, and then the next day I'm standing in the state capitol protesting it because I don't know if he's going to do it or not.
A lot of complaints along the way, absolutely. One of the things I learned at PayPal was who complains the loudest and with the most amount of fake righteous indignation? The fraudsters. It's a tell. There's these NGOs that are crazy, like the $2 billion to Stacey Abrams NGO that basically didn't exist and suddenly gets $2 billion awarded from the federal government. Why? And there are many such cases like that.
Love that he brought that up. Just love it.
But it's true because the more and more.
Yeah, and that's the thing that bothers me the most because where I work, dude, there's no what they're finding. The things that they're finding, dude. Some of it, I'm not saying that all of it is fraud, waste, and abuse in the sense that somebody's just going into the cookie jar and taking the money, dude. But there's no accountability, dude. They have no idea where this money's going, dude, and that's not how you run this, dude. Where I work at my level, dude, you have to dot your I's and cross your T's. If you don't, you're gonna get fired or you're gonna go to jail. When you have hundreds of thousands of dollars on a budget, right, and you can't tell them where this money went, dude, you're done. So what's good for the goose? Again, you guys know how I feel about this kind of stuff on this channel where I rant. I'm getting a little bit upset right now. But what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? Just because you work there in DC, right, and which works to me because this is millions and billions of dollars, dude. Where I work, dude, we're at the. I don't even like being at the level I'm at when we make these purchases and stuff like that, right? Dude, but that should transition in, man, especially if you're at the top, dude. You should set the standard. dude. Yeah, and just because you're like a whatever big wig you are in DC, no. Squash all that, dude. You know better than the rest of us, dude. You don't sit there on your hill on Mount Olympus and embark orders and bring judgment down from up on high, and then when you screw up, you don't get accountability. Screw that. That's one of the main reasons I like these guys, dude, if I'm being honest. Dude. We need to work to ferret this stuff out. Get the bad actors out, but for the most part, a lot of this stuff will just be bad bookkeeping. People that didn't, follow through, right? They ask a lot of this time. These people that are working in these departments are asking them, "Hey, where'd the money go?" And I'm not saying that people stole it, dude. They just don't know where it is. Equipment don't know where it is. I see that happen too. Yeah, because procedures and processes aren't being followed. Dude. This is why you don't want big government, because big government is built like this, and the process is long and tiring, right, for a lot of people. This is why you don't want them involved in your life, dude, because it doesn't allow you the flexibility you need to be who you are. The government, the largest of the government, is actually necessary, right? But that same largesse, you don't want it in every aspect of your life, dude. Nobody would want to live their life like this.
But we discussed this. I'm like, do these people think we're stupid? I mean, they've been spending all this money. Meanwhile, we've kind of highlighted all the tragedies that are happening in this country as it relates to different communities. You got homeless veterans. You got a crisis when it came to the wildfires in California. You got a crisis in North Carolina. And all these people are like, we have no money. We have no money. Meanwhile, they have found all of these other programs to give money to. And somehow they all link back to Democrat organizations or Democrat donors or politicians.
So Doge savings so far, they say, and you can go on the website, doge.gov.com, $130 billion. Their goal is to save $4 billion a day, and they are doing it. They're talking about systems. And when it comes to talking about modernizing systems, think about it. You come in, you're there 2 years, maybe 4 years as Treasury Secretary. Once in a while, you stay the whole time. There's no motivation to reform things. And as soon as you get on a roll or make some suggestions, somebody else is in charge. So what you do is you continue with that systems, which explains why manually Social Security is done in cutting.
Sorry, guys, I'm going to skip ahead. I forgot that these guys give their commentary, which is fine. But just go watch the entire video. But I just want to get to the guys that I'm talking about.
Out the fraud. Watch.
The two improvements that we're trying to make to Social Security are helping people that legitimately get benefits, protecting them from fraud that they experience every day on a routine basis, and also make the experience better. And I'll give you one example is at Social Security, one of the first things we learned is that they get phone calls every day of people trying to change direct deposit information. So when you want to change your bank account, you can call Social Security. We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
40%?
That's right. Almost half.
What we're doing will help their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of Doge, will receive more Social Security, not less.
You've heard a lot of news about risks, about people getting fired. At this moment in time, less than 0.15, not 1.5, less than 0.15 of the federal workforce has actually been given a RIF notice.
It's incredible.
Who could be against this, you guys?
Yeah, so I can speak on this. It's not like if you listen to the media, it's like everybody's losing their job. That's not what's happening. But people are afraid because you can see the process of it happening. What they're looking for, they're definitely trying to get the wastewater and the roost, quote unquote, out of the system, right, and stuff like that. But they're also looking at the overall costs, right, because our deficit is so bad, right, and there's going to be a coming to Jesus moment on all of this stuff. And that's what most federal workers that I know are waiting on. That's the hammer, that hammer to fall. So yeah, and that's why there are people worried. Trust me, I know. Right? Because at some point in time, you're hoping that they find. Like for me personally, I do want them to reclaim some of this money that's been used fraudulently, because there's a lot of people that can suffer, that do the jobs, that do work hard, that are dependable, that have been there for over 20 plus years doing the hard work, doing everything right. That's the people I don't want to suffer. So let me go down a little bit. I think there was another, yeah. So again, sorry guys, I'm just going to clip the stuff that
they're ancient like us, and they have manila folders
for the retirement.
For the retirement stuff. And you're going, and this is the same system we had in 1950. It's like, what's everybody been doing until now?
But Rachel, did you hear what? Because the federal government, they found some.
Dang, dude. this isn't the right clip too. Sorry guys. I gotta stop sharing that because I just think they're gonna talk. They're just gonna spend the rest of the time giving their opinion, which is fine. I don't have that, but I really should have clipped a better. Like, my bad. But more importantly, just go watch it, dude. I highly recommend you guys go watch the whole thing because they talk about the retirement process, dude. That is 100% correct. That is not a lie. I started off in admin, dude. I know all about that kind of stuff because I had to do processes for people that wanted to retire. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, it didn't shock me as much because it's federal, guys. It's just, I don't know how to put this, dude. That's just the way it's been, right? And then so they also talk about in that interview how they want to streamline processes, and I don't know if that's going to work. There's certain reasons why certain organizations have been kept separately from each other. Right, because of the flip side of having everybody communicate with each other, the flip side of keeping everybody separate, the security issues and stuff like that. I'm not saying they couldn't make it better. I think they can actually make it better, right? Because they need to make it better at the end of the day. Because what they have right now is just it's just a lot of double work. And this is what they're looking at as far as people, like the jobs that people are doing, right? And that doesn't necessarily translate into somebody losing their job. Right, like the guy said, dude. Right now, it's that at lower level. Some have been hit more than others, right? But it's not, dude. Trust me, I was in the Navy when they did the base closures, dude. That was brutal, and this is nothing close to that. I want to tell you straight up, right? That's when Clinton was in office. They wanted to cut the budget, and they just laid the hammer down. They did a bad hammer, bro, on everything. I was in the military. I got affected because they shut down my base. I actually got out processed out of the military. I got a discharge because of my knee, but they were just trying to cut everywhere, dude. So I make this joke all the time, dude. You sneeze if you're in uniform and you sneeze, man. There is a board ready to talk to you, dude. It was brutal, man. I saw people with 25, 30 years, man, that ready to retire, dude, and they're in a bad situation. Because what I'm talking about, man, in Northern California, dude, they shut down the entirety of the military in Northern California, all in one swoop. Now there was discussions about it happening. They're looking at the what they called it, the BRAC at the time. There was the base closure commissions and all these commissions they have, and then but this time they moved on it, and in one fell swoop, dude, everybody went from Northern California up into Washington State, and it was amazing to me, man, because a lot of people in San Francisco didn't like the military when I was there. They wanted them gone, and they got their wish. And all that land and everything, they got it back. And you know what? Kudos to them because they turned that stuff around. I'm not saying they did a good job now. They're doing a good job now, but back then, yeah. And Silicon Valley, all that kind of stuff. I knew people that got out of the military and stayed there because they were going to try and do startups and stuff like that. I don't know whatever happened to them, but I was there before the tech bubble blew up. So, the state was changing. Still had Sandog down in the southern part. But that northern part just got obliterated. The only thing they kept for a while was Presidio. And I think they kept it because that was a hard transition. Presidio is a beautiful base. It's right up, located by Golden Gate Bridge at that time. Now it's something different, I believe. Where I was, dude, I was in East Oakland, man. East Oakland was no joke. That's where I was. So, but I saw that, dude. That what happened there. Two experience I had with that. Then when I went into a summer hire program when I came back to Hawaii, dude, Corps of Engineers, man, they got rifted. And that was brutal. And what I found out is they were rifted 3 months before. So this isn't even close what they're doing. I'm not saying it can't happen. All I'm saying is, dude, just be careful, man. When and there are people being affected, man, but it's not on that level. Like, again, man, all the media all the Democratic Party is right now is the opposition party. There's a lot of things. If you go back, a lot of people are sharing it on social media, right? Like a lot of things that the Democrats have said over the years, like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, man, you think they're Republicans now. Just because, they were against all this kind of stuff, now they're for it. But at the end of the day, that's the sad thing about politics. It is about politics. It's not about the people, and it's not about the country, right? Unfortunately. So anyway, sorry, guys. I'll get back to this. Sorry, that was kind of that's a good clip, dude. Again, go watch the thing. But I thought I think there's the other clip I was supposed to pull. Again, shout out to Unlimited Productions, man. He got this stuff done on lock. Me, not so much. David says, don't waste your money. Oh, David, I'm glad I read this. Let me say this one more thing, dude. What you're seeing with Doge versus the government, if you notice, a lot of the people that are pushing back on the government are tech people, right? A lot of those people are business people and tech people, okay? As an ex-boss, guys, I bring this up all the time, and I think this is apropos to what we're talking about. You remember what happened with AKB, right? It was basically Microsoft versus the government, right? And the government was trying to bring the heavy hand of the federal government upon them with their regulations, trying to stop a deal that they shouldn't have no business even trying to stop. This is payback, right? What ended up happening with and there's a lot of content out there. And look, dude, if I was good at editing, I could string this stuff together and bring it to you, man. Where a lot of these tech people woke up. Then you come to find out a lot of them were kind of like they felt that they were threatened. That's why they went along with it. Do you wish they were a little bit stronger? Yeah. But now you have people that are stronger. This is why I give Elon a lot of credit, just because he doesn't have to do this. But he sees, sorry, Dave, I'm going to come back to your comment, but he sees the writing on the wall. And a lot of these guys have seen the writing on the wall. And then some of them are just like, hey, dude, how are you able to do this? Dude, if I did this with my own business, I'd be bankrupt, right? So there's people coming like that. But look, dude, the government, they overplayed their cards. And they had to at some point. Because when you have a government that's overbearing, trying to come down upon you, they also look at the bad players around them. And one of the most powerful institutions is technology. Number one, because government doesn't understand it. For the most part, a lot of these guys, these regulators, that's problem number one. And problem number two, their inability to regulate tech, right? Because tech is one of those industries that a lot of people, general populace, take part of every day in your everyday lives. So that's something that the general populace would pay attention to. Like, for example, when the COVID lockdowns happened, where I live, they shut down like every store except for Costco's, Sam's Clubs, and Walmart's. And then like the big box stores all got to stay open. But if you tried to go like to your local eatery and stuff like that, they like, no, they have to close. And then when they allow them to be open, dude, they have to jump through all these hoops. That's why a lot of businesses closed down, because they couldn't do it, right? But they left the big box stores open. Why? Why do you think they did that? Right? Because they know they could manage the small mom and pop stores. But if you shut down Costco here, we have the most busiest Costco in the entire United States. I think possibly in the world. Well, maybe not the world because we got China. I think China has Costco. But we have, at least I know in the United States, we have a Costco here that's like 12,000 people per day go to that Costco. What do you think would happen if they would have shut down that Costco because of COVID? Should they have shut down the Costco? Well, given their standards, especially here in our state, they should have. They should have closed down everything, but they didn't. Right? And you know why they wouldn't do that, dude? Because people would riot. That's why they did it. This is what I'm saying when I'm talking about the heavy hand of government, dude. Right? They did that. They control what they can control, get away with what they could get away with. And the other stuff, dude, they just let it fall, let the pieces fall where they may. And then they try and, they try and, what do they call that, rope-a-dopey with everything else. Yeah, I know I'm kind of going on my anti-government thing, but I'm just being honest with you guys. But the whole Xbox thing is a good prelude to everything that's going on right now, because these tech companies got wise and they're like, you know what, dude, these guys are not your friends, and they're coming back. David Cohen says, don't waste your money on Switch 2. Save up for more games on Xbox. The Switch 2 price is insane. Sure, it's a more powerful handheld, but $450 and the games are $90, and the fact upgrades aren't free. Yeah, 100%, David. The only reason I'm gonna get it, but after this, my daughter might see the price and would feel like she might not get it. It's just for my daughter. She plays Pokemon and Zelda. She loves Pokemon, and she actually plays her system, so I wouldn't mind getting it for her. But yeah, you're right, dude. Especially after the tariffs, man. This thing could be like 500, so we might have to put the kibosh on that for now. And she still has her old Switch, so I don't know if she'll be able to play the new Pokemon on the old Switch. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But you're 100% correct, dude. I mean, for me, I would not buy it. And you know what? They're gonna bring GameCube games. That's one of my favorite Nintendo systems, with the GameCube, because of the games they had on there. But am I gonna pay $5.99 for that bit of nostalgia? No. And I pretty much don't have time either. Not just money, but time. Everything. Again, you guys are Xbox guys like me. Everything in the Xbox ecosystem it's overwhelming, dude. Even if you couldn't afford it, dude, you don't have the time to play most of this stuff, dude. Like Unlimited said at one time, he said like the odds of you getting through your entire back library, most of us backlog of games in our gaming library is so ridiculous that we probably never finish it. And probably to beat every game in my backlog, I could probably play every game. Take me years, but to beat every game, I'd have to retire right now and do this 24/7 like a job. And nobody likes to do that with gaming, dude. A lot of times the way I game is totally the opposite of everything I talk about on this channel when it comes to politics or things of a serious nature. The way I game, dude, I do it That's the only about as liberal I get when it comes is my gaming because I do it on feel, I do it on how I feel, kind of emotional. Like sometimes I'm like that. Wow, like some games I don't finish them because I don't feel like playing it, and something new and shiny popped up, and then I get into that because of the mood I'm in. I like sim games. I love shooters. Some days I just want to pop, play a couple hours, just playing the zombie mode on the new Black Ops. So Pepe Le Pew says Doge is doing a good job on few things on tracing the money trail, right, Pepe? Yeah, I think they're doing a good job on that. I think they're doing a good job on exposing the bureaucracy, right? And for those of you guys, I know that's a word that gets used a lot. Just think of it this way. I've used this example before. I'll use it again right now because I think it fits perfectly. Right? It's just like if you lived under a monarch, right? It wasn't just a monarch you lived under, right? But it was their dukes and their barons. That's what you have now. We don't have a king per se, even though people like to personify Trump as a king. But our system of checks and balances were created to negate that. We have a lot of other people that are would-be kings right now. But what I'm saying is that the bureaucracy is basically those dukes and barons and duchess and duchesses, duchesses and what is it? Those people on that level, right? That would run like the little fiefdoms and the certain portions of the kingdom, right? That's what you're dealing with right now. The chiefs, right? The ministers. That's what these bureaucrats are, right? They're the ones that are instigating policy. That's why the big thing is right now is that who was running the government when Biden was the president? Because there's more and more stuff come out, right? People realize this person was not cognizant. And I already knew that, dude. I mean, it doesn't take much, dude. They just need the figurehead, right? I mean, it'll be good if they had somebody a little bit more charismatic that people listen to. But you have your figurehead, and then everybody else falls into line. This is why, I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. Trump is waging a war on these bureaucrats. They're waging war on. This is why he tried to. I'm going to tell you just straight up, dude. USAID was the first target because he understood what USAID does, and it's antithetical to what his mission goals are for a more efficient government. These people put on so much money, and then like you said, Pepe, right? You see some of the stuff they discovered, like where our money was going to, and I'm not down with that at all, guys. Sorry. No. Hell no. I'm like, bro, why are you, these people give money to groups that we're against, right? Politically as well as militarily. No, dude, no, we can't do that, man. Pepe says Dems are pissed about that. Yeah, not just Dems, Pepe. There's Republicans. The Republicans, though, they know what's up, dude. Republicans are sneaky. And I am a Republican, guys. The problem with Republicans is they're smart enough to see the TVs, man, but they're sneaky because they're part of the problem too. And that's another thing they got to look at, right? Because all of this is predicated on who has control of House and Senate. And right now it's the Republicans with Trump, right? But Trump is he's throwing a wide enough net. Dude, you don't think Republicans are getting caught up in this stuff? You don't think these Republicans in DC, they're all the same, bro. The Republicans to me is like the better party, but not by much. Right? Because they actually have some people in there in the Republican side that want to do the right thing, right? Then you have Trump in charge, so he's bringing his people on board. And again, a lot of these people in his party, again, you guys got to do the research, but they're not all Republicans. In fact, there's people that wanted to be a part of it from the Republican side that he said no, because they're just as bad as the Democrat side, because they're all in it together. Somebody said on the podcast yesterday, I'm sorry I can't remember your name, but it was a great way to put it. It's like it's not. It might have been unlimited. It said it in the thing when we were doing it. But anyway, it's not really the left versus the right or the Democrats versus the Republicans. It's the different classes, right? It's the elite versus the non-elite. That's what you're seeing right now. That's what people are discovering, and they're like, "Oh wow, this is crazy," And I'm a Republican myself, dude. I'm a registered Republican, right? But I can, So say he does do all this stuff, like the Katie Bardador find all this stuff going on, which is what they're moving to, right? Like they're going to start looking at these Congress people and wondering how they can make how somebody can be worth 35, 40, 50, $90 million on a $220,000 salary, federal salary, right? They're going to dig into all that because most of these people don't come from money, right? They're going to start doing that, dude. There's a lot of bad stuff going on there. But if he throws this net out, dude, he's going to catch some of these guys, and that could shift the power in D.C., right? Because you can't prosecute crooked Democrats and not prosecute crooked Republicans. I wouldn't expect them to. I wouldn't want them to. I want them all to go down. and let the chips fall where they may, because that's a big part of the problem, dude. It's like having a cancer, dude. It really is, and that's why it's so hard, because they're trying to root all this stuff out. There's some stuff they did. I mean, it's all planned out, right? They wanted to come in, shock and awe, hit hard, hit fast, right? Put people on their toes, like wake people up to what they're doing, but then also keep these dudes off their toes, because they know how the left and the Democrats are. They're just going to be opposite. Again, I'm saying this all the time. They're just the opposition party. You watch some of the commentary on these protests, dude. There's no self-thinking on this kind of stuff. Dude, they contradict themselves all the stuff, dude, all the time, man. Dude, for the longest time, dude, people loved Elon Musk on the left, and they wanted everybody to buy a electric car. Dude, I'm never gonna buy an electric car. You can put that on, unless I have to, unless I have no other choice, unless they force me to, right? This is why I don't support that stuff, right? That's why I never supported that stuff, because it's all built to the level of they want to control you, right? But but these guys have flipped on him, right? Now they're keying and destroying his cars, which I find funny, right? Because these are the same people that were supporting him and wanted us to drive his cars. Whether Elon was on that side before, I didn't want his car. He's a Republican, or he's with Trump now. I still won't buy his car. You see what I'm saying? That's consistency to me, because I just don't like his cars. Now, if you like his cars, fine. If you think you're saving the planet by driving a battery operated car from mines that that the slave labor that they get to get the materials to create your batteries, if you're fine with that, well, more power to you, right? And then even on that, it's not about the purpose of how they get the batteries and stuff like this. It's the hypocrisy again, guys. I don't like the hypocrisy of it all. Right? I'm not going to put no chip in my brain. Right? I'm not going to be some half cyborg, half. Because if you listen to Elon talk about this stuff, dude, it's a foregone conclusion. But you guys got to remember, this dude's on the spectrum, dude. He's a futurist. He's thinking, this dude has no checks and no brakes. He has no brake check, dude. He just goes full speed ahead. So of course, dude, some stuff you're gonna agree with him, some stuff you're gonna not. I appreciate the fact that he's forward thinking. He's a futurist. Doesn't mean I'm gonna be carrying the water for this dude. There's some stuff I don't believe in what he's doing. But I do give him credit for doing this, man, because he doesn't have to. But yeah, Pepe, they are upset about that. David Cohen, I understand why games in the 80s and 90s were expensive, and part of it was because cartridges were expensive to produce. However, that was a different time. No, 100%, but it's also because the community wasn't as big. I can attest to that, dude. Not everybody was a gamer. The technology of Sony and maybe the disc, and Sony kind of made it more palpable because of the branding. Yeah, but 100%, dude. I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day. But I mean, you have to, for me personally, like I'm looking at what they're doing, and I'm like, this is why I don't have a problem with tariffs, because if the tariff takes effect with Japan, which again, the last I checked was 25%, could be wrong, because this stuff's in fluctuation, right? But if it's 25% and it affects the price, I don't look at tariffs as a tax, because I don't have to participate in the transaction. Like when April 14th is right around the corner, if you don't do your taxes, dude, so you don't get a knock at the door. You know what I'm saying? At least for now. I hope Trump kills the income tax, and I hope he gets rid of the IRS. He's already like downsizing. He's downsizing a mass amount. I think they did another 25% cut of the IRS again. And guys, there is a method of his madness. It's not just him hating the IRS, or he got audited. He probably did, right? But he just don't see the value of the IRS. And then on top of that, this is where a lot of the money comes from to fund these people, to fund the government, basically, to fund the bureaucracy. And you know how he feels about the bureaucracy, so naturally, the IRS is in the crosshairs. Though I think they'll. I'm for one. I think they should just get rid of it. But I mean, they'll probably have to keep it, and then they'll try and make it a little bit more efficient. How they do that, I have no idea. I don't even care, to be honest with you. Steam handheld or Odin be better by, or Steam handheld or what is that, Pepe? Are you talking about the Xbox one? The Xbox handheld. I don't know. It looks pretty cool to me. I saw the commercial. Again, I'm not even in the conversation because I can't. I have neck problems, so I can't. At least I think the Switch though. But can the Steam machine? Can you or can the Steam, the portable? Can you connect it to a television? I don't think so. Like with Nintendo, I could connect to the television because then I could sit and look at the TV. I can adjust the height of the TV. But handhelds, right? You're always looking down. Yeah. So yeah, Pepe. Maybe somebody else can answer that. I can't really participate. Would be if it would be the Switch for me, because and would defeat the purpose because I wouldn't be playing it mobile. I'd be playing it on a TV. So like when my daughter gets it, she'll connect it to her TV, and then I could probably go back and play F-Zero. I don't know how that's gonna work. I doubt it'll be as good as Microsoft. The way that you can get games through there, I'm not gonna pay an arm and a leg for as much as I love F-Zero. But it'd be cool if it was a couple bucks or but you have to join that online. I think. Yeah, I won't do that because I already have Xbox. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll get a special. I would like to go back and play like the old F-Zero though. That was that game especially. I really love that game. Pepe says they can play all the games that are on Steam. Oh, cool. Are you talking about? Wait, are you talking about Microsoft's handheld? The new one that Microsoft is coming out with? I think that's great. I think that'll be good. I know people are excited about it. Unlimited Production says that's one way I know Greg Abbott is corrupt. His bank account is way higher than his government salary, plus any business interest he has. Yeah, unlimited, 100%, dude. And they've been doing it. So these dudes, man, they have no fear. They have no fear. And I know Greg Abbott's a Republican. Like I said, I'm a registered Republican, but I don't care, bro. You corrupt. You doing shady stuff, bro. You need to know, dude. When all these government entities, man. Every time you go into a government, and if you're gonna be any type of government federal worker, bro, you have to take an oath. And these guys have they broke their oath every which way you can. They've done it, dude. And I'm not down with that, bro. I don't care what party you're part of, dude. You're the flag bearer, dude. You set the standard. Now, if something done out of mistake or something shifted, you can't help that. I get it, man. But I mean, if you're out there making yourself rich because you're making backdoor deals or you're kind of skidding around the edges, even if you're skidding around the edges, screw that. No, right? Above reproach. Let's get biblical with this, man. You got to be above reproach. Especially if you're a person, like if you're Republicans, right? What do? They stand up there and preach about things all the time. Then you find out, they're diddling somebody in a bathroom somewhere, right? Or they're having these extramarital affairs, right? Taking money under the table. Oh no, squash all that, dude. Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, I don't care what you are. You evil, you evil. Sorry, not sorry, bro. You need to be gone. You need to be punished. That's why I'm waiting for that hammer to fall. Pepe says Steam Deck. Yep. I think the Steam Deck is well anyway. I talk about that too much on my channel. But hey, if you again, I can't speak to it. Super. That's all. Oh, okay. Oh, wait, what is this? Lemon says makes himself rich, hide behind the Texas economy. That is hiding his policy that's going to screw over Texans. I don't care if he has a car already by his name. Yeah, 100% on limit. I'm the same way. I have the same problem here in Hawaii. You need Republicans here that'll fight. You got a couple now that are trying to, but it's such a tilted, dude. It's a Democrat-run state, through and through. They have the majority, and it'll never change here. So I feel you, man. I feel your pain. We've had some good common sense type people come in, an independent Republican, even some Democrats, dude. But if you don't play the game, dude, you're not gonna have any influence. One of my friends that happened to him, dude. He's not originally from Hawaii, but he wanted to make a, he wanted to, because he loves the place. He wanted to contribute. He's gonna retire. Thinking about retiring, so he's like, "Oh, let me get into politics," because he does want to make, because he's affected by a lot of the decisions that's happening in Waikiki, and even though he's a Democrat, he was like, let me see, there's some policies they did that I think we could be better on, and he tried to go in there, man, but his name was not on that list. You know what I'm saying? Because he's not from it, he's not local, right? And there's a pecking order. It's like that in most places. I'm not saying they tried to single this dude out, but he found out the harsh reality, of what it means. To have an entrenched party in your state. I've seen people that were the next in line to step up, dude, and They just made one simple mistake. I saw that happen to this one dude, and his whole political career just went down the drains. It took him like 7 years to build himself back up, and because of other stuff that's happening outside of himself, he was able to get back in. But he learned his lesson, right? And the sad thing about it is what he was talking about would have been for the greater good of the entirety of the state, but they shut him down because of special interests. That's another thing too, right? Special interests, bro. It's sad. It's sad that it's like that, and it shouldn't be. And again, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up really quickly. I appreciate everybody being here. I don't want to go on too long, but I do enjoy doing this. I appreciate the commentary, and look, even if we agree to disagree, and that's what we got to boil down to. Like Mr. Kima, bro, I love you, brother. And it's nothing personal with you, man. I respect your opinions. I think we're just gonna disagree on some of this stuff, and not to a fault, man. I mean, I'm just saying, I just don't see it. I understand what you're saying, dude. Like if stuff goes south, then yeah, I'll definitely be there with you. My job is not to put anybody over because of who they are, because of their celebrity. But me personally, what I see them doing, especially with Doge, I think is a necessity right now. Right? But if these people end up being crooked like everybody else in DC, then yeah, naturally I'll stand against it. That's not my point here. Is not to play favorites, right? But I'm looking at the body of work they're doing. Again, please, everybody, take the time to watch that interview, man, because it's very in depth. The stuff that they go into, man, and they just touched kind of on the surface stuff. This was a couple of weeks ago, so who knows what else they found at this point. And everything is put on the .gov version of Doge. And if you follow these guys, which I know some of you guys that will probably kill you, but if you follow them on X or their social media accounts, which is predominantly X, you'll see them put stuff out. I see it all the time. But if that hammer falls, Mr. Kima, I'll be right there with you, brother. Just like me and Unlimited is talking right here, dude. I mean, he's told me stuff about his governor. I don't live in Texas, so I can't speak on that. Like Unlimited doesn't live in Hawaii. But one thing we do have in common is how these people getting money off of that income. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you guys affording these mansions? How is it, like in DC, how's the greater area of Northern Virginia homes on the same level as Beverly Hills? You know what I'm saying? Because those are the little things. That's where my spidey sense, again, guys, tingles when I see that kind of stuff, because that should not be happening. And then some people will question me, it's like, well, maybe they just get it at stocks or with their money, or they invested in stuff like that. I was like, dude, if they could do that in real life, they would not be a politician. Like, you see that happening. That's one of the things you'll get from this thing with the Doge thing. These people don't, it's kind of a chore for them to be doing this, right? But they're doing it for the greater cause, right? Because they don't have to. That's the thing. Like when people throw that at me with Elon, well, he just wants to get money. Why? He can make more money not doing this. He's losing money doing this. But on top of that, he's hurt himself doing this stuff because there's people that hate him and trying to bring his company down. Right? And I think he'll be. And I'm not going to cry for him. He'll be fine. This dude's one of the richest dudes in the world. But when I look at what he's doing, dude, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, right? You gotta explain it to me like where it makes sense, guys. Because nobody wants to go to this headache, dude. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the console war stuff. For me, it's all on principle. This stuff is all on principle. That's why I support him. I was like, you know what, dude? This dude doesn't have to be doing this. He's already the richest man in the world. He could be even the more richest man in the world if he wasn't doing this, right? Because it's taking away from what he knows and what he does. He could have been on Mars by now. But again, he does have self-interest in what's going on. But it's not. I don't look at it the way other people look at it, right? I don't have a problem with people profiting. I don't have a problem with people making money or expanding their well-being or their lifestyle and stuff like that if it's done correctly, right? I'm biblical on this kind of stuff, guys. Don't covet, right? And the way I was raised as a Christian, don't look at other people, look at yourself first, right? When something's going on in the world that's wrong, like to me, when I look at what's wrong with government, it's more of a righteous thing, dude. It's not anything else other than that, right? Are you righteous? Are you doing good work? Do you care about your fellow men, honestly, or are you just saying it? Are you principled? Do you have a moral code of conduct that will prevent you from taking backdoor deals or skirting rules or quid pro quo, right? That's what it boils down to me at the end of the day, right? Like that's why I try and run this channel myself, dude. I'm not perfect either, right? I make mistakes, but that's the goal of this channel. That's why when I get upset when it comes to You know, like I have people all the time. Well, I bought a PlayStation. Does that make you mad? I'm like, I don't care. Dude. That's your money. That's your time. Right? Just don't come into my thing and tell me and start toting these talking points when it's not true. Don't lie. So basically, don't lie to me about a system that I have and services that I play, right? And games that I own, right? You're not gonna come in here and do that, dude. I won't let you get away with it. At the end of the day, that's what it all boils down to for me, man. We gotta clear out the rot, gut it all, pull it out, man. Just like surgery, gotta get this stuff going. Hopefully, get this country back up and running, where it benefits everybody. Right, and that's what they're looking at the end of the day, man. They had an interesting statistic, which I knew already. It's like the majority of the like everything that's happening with the stock market, man. The majority of people, what is it, like 12% that benefit from it? It's 12% of the country, or something like that. You know, dude, I better look that up before I give false information. But the majority, I'll just put it to you this way: the majority of the people that benefit from the stock market, which we all kind of do. We all have 401ks, but there's a top percentile that does. That regardless if it goes up and down, they might lose money, they might gain money, but these are the people that they lose money, but they can flip it around. Which more power to them, dude. I don't have a problem with that. That they're doing that, right? Right, but when you're sitting there and you're losing, if you're worth 50 billion and you lost 3 billion, if you're worth 50 million and you lost a million to 3 million. I'm not gonna cry tears from you, bro. You're not starving. You know what I'm saying, right? Because to me, it's a risk reward thing with the stock market. And if you're good at it, you're good at it, dude. But don't come crying to me, right? Because the rest of us, because at the end of the day, these people, that's what these guys are doing, right? And then they're going on these news channels talking about all these economists, right? All these people that play the stock market. And I just want to tell them, I was like, bro, nobody cares, dude. Why you worried about while you're sitting there worth 75 million and you lost 7 million? Dude, I have to go to the store and figure out what I'm going to buy, how I'm going to buy eggs. You know what I'm saying? Right? Look, dude, I mean, that sounds like a lot of money to me. But you started off the conversation that you're at 50 million and you lost 7. Like, no, that's a lot of money to me. But, you know, at the end of the day, dude, I'm pretty sure you can still go out to that fine restaurant and get a good cut of steak that you can buy that Wagyu beef from Japan, not the American Wagyu, the Japanese Wagyu. You know what I'm saying? You'll be able to pick that 1860 bottle of wine, that Bordeaux, right? And you won't miss a beat, dude. I drove by McDonald's and I'd be like, oh snap, man, how much is that? Oh man, I guess we're gonna have to go to the store and buy some buy some Spam and cook some rice and make some eggs if I can afford it. You know what I'm saying? That's the levels. As what's his name like to say, there's levels to this, right? It's true. And again, I don't bemoan anybody for making money as long as it's legal with a good conscience. You're not hurting anybody. At the end of the day, that's fine. But it is what it is. All right. But hey, man, just shout out to the chat. Unlimited man, thanks for being here, brother. Pepe, I appreciate you stopping in as well. And David, Vontae, brother. Sorry we didn't do a pop culture thing today. Trying to get this other stuff out. Trying to be consistent on my channel. It's been hard. Mr. Kima, man, I appreciate you being here, brother, man. Thanks for keeping me honest. Trust me, man. I look at what you say. I follow you on social media, man. You are the conscience. You are my conscience, dude. And I always appreciate the challenge, man. Steel sharpens steel. That's what we do in the Xbox community too, or what we should do. And Toolman, man, thanks for stopping by, brother. And thanks for everybody for watching, man. Really appreciate it. Xbox All In channel, whole Sega forever. We out.